Hello, lifelong curious people! Today we're going to go through how to read an academic article. The number one tip is don't expect to get it the first time through. Academic articles are the culmination of more than a year of work from people well entrenched in the field of whatever the article's talking about. It's going to have jargon. It's going to be confusing the first time through. Now, before you even think about starting in on that paper, figure out what you're going to use it for. If you're just looking for a method to process samples on your instrument or in your lab, then you may not need to read the whole thing. Home in on that method and go to town. If you're trying to learn it well enough to use it for background knowledge for your research, or to be able to remember the concepts for a later date, you'll need to be a bit more mindful of what's actually going on in the paper. That's where this video comes in. When I was a wee lass in the Oncofertility Academy through the Be Wise program, they gave us a pamphlet on how to read an academic article. That is somewhere in this house, but I wasn't able to find by the time that I filmed this. Anywho, they had 5 steps, each consisting of a separate read-through. Now, no way in hell was I going to automatically plan on reading an article all the way through 5 times. So I combined many of the steps into 2 full read-throughs.
Hi, Editing Rachel here. So, I have learned my lesson to talk to people before filming the videos, but my mom, who reads articles that she doesn't have background in for a living, she has a recommended first step of reading it through all the way through, not doing anything with it, not trying to even understand it at all, and just having just the sheer words wash over you while you're reading the very first time through. I am usually reading in articles that I have background in, so I didn't really think of this step, but if and when we do like astrophysics on this channel or something like that, I will be right there with you doing the initial just let the words wash over you step. I'm also going to link to a few videos also talking about how to read an academic article. This is about how I read academic articles, and so I read from top to bottom, mostly focusing on the abstract and the conclusion, but there's a couple different ways of focusing on the paper, so I will link to those. Alrighty, back to it.
The first read-through is going to be to learn what you don't know. While some articles have been given to an editor to polish and thus are semi-coherent on the first go-through, others feel like they have been given to a freshman to write who finds it an honor beyond honors and bunkers down at their computer in their basement office and won't see the light of day until it is finished, at which point, if they had any grammar skills in the first place, they were chased out of the poor dear's mind after the 50th espresso in 2 weeks, and then given a light spit shine by the TA before sending it in to be peer-reviewed. If the peer reviewers can understand what was meant and don't find problems with the science, it's published on the 2000th page of the journals full of so much jargon that even the professor in charge won't quite be able to remember what all those acronyms meant by the time it's released into the wild. I try to stay with the former when possible, but sometimes the latter is the culmination of the breakthrough work that is the pinnacle of necessity that you cite in your paper. So anyways, during that first read-through, you try to get the gist of the paper. Highlighting the things you think are important, sure, but the main purpose of it is to underline words that you don't know yet, including the acronyms that you don't remember what the heck it was trying to denote. At the end of each paragraph or two, get on your good friend Google or DuckDuckGo and figure out what those words mean. Some of those words you'll want to know exactly what they mean, but others you'll just need to know the type of thing that it is. If they start talking about ZIETDFMK, then you don't necessarily need to know what every single letter in that salad means if you don't want to. Once you see that it's a tool to study caspase, you can look up what caspase is and then move on. Unless you have the time and want to jump into the world of programmed cell death, in which case, I'm not stopping you. Happy learning, my friend. Once you've looked all those words up, see if those paragraphs make sense with what you now know about those words. By the time you get to the end of the article, if you're still not sure what the hell you just read, fear not, because we're gonna read it again! The second read-through is going to be for actual comprehension. With your new knowledge of what those weird words in the middle mean, read it through. If I'm going to be presenting the paper and it's still difficult for me to wrap my head around, I try to go 1 to 2 paragraphs at a time and translate them into plain English. Or go with whatever language you're most comfortable with. Hi, polyglot friends! If you can get it to the point where a smart 4th grader could still keep up, then you have achieved true understanding of the material. If you can't quite get it down to that level, it's okay. This information is at a high level. Just make sure you have an understanding of each paragraph and why it's in the paper. If you're not just reading it for fun, then you'll continue to work with the material. You may need to read it through or reread sections of it again. If I know I'm going to need to keep coming back, then I'll write down my translation and refer back to it. As long as your cat doesn't decide it's the most joyous idea to shred it in their free time, you can read your summary while trying to remember the concepts later. And that's it! Once again, you have at least 2 read-throughs. The first of which will focus on untangling that jargon, underlining and looking up words and phrases that you don't know. The second of which will focus on comprehension, including translating it into a form that won't make your eyes pop out when you try to reread it 2 years later. Looking for academic articles is a class of its own. And other than going to your local library, a university library, or Google Scholar, I don't have that much expertise in finding the perfect paper. Librarians are also very skilled in the art of research, so asking one of them to share their wisdom may be a good place to start. If you do still want me to make a video on how to find a good academic article, let me know in the comments or by emailing academicarticlebookclub@gmail.com. Please observe the like and subscribe buttons and how they react to being clicked. I wish you exciting new discoveries. May your day be wonder-filled.
This right here is the jerk that ate my paper translation. He ate it, or shredded it with his claws and his teeth. He's an enemy of science. This gentleman right here is an enemy to all science.
When I was a leewas. Uh-oh. Caught the attention of a new Gru? Really? We're trying to do something in here, bud. You want to come in? Come on in. Yeah. In or out, bud? In or out?
What are you, a kitty cat or something?